Hey, how you doing? This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. And I'm just experimenting this morning. I tried the new Hangout option under YouTube, and it looked much better than the old one, but I couldn't get it to recognize my microphone. Where this version, which is the old version of Hangouts, it automatically finds my microphone and works. So I'm going back to the old version. Anyway, this morning I was experimenting around with my Grundig 750 ATS, and I thought I would capture it on video, and I thought I would do a hangout because that uploads the video semi real time, so I don't have to worry about filling up my hard drive, and I can babble as long as I want to. So I'm not necessarily looking for viewers. I didn't announce this. It's early in the morning. I wanted to use the Hangout to do the capture of what I'm doing. Now it is 6:42 Eastern time. I don't know if it's daylight or standard or whatever. I hate that. And this is the Grundig 750. I'm using my G5 RV antenna. Solar flux index is probably 67, 68, pretty terrible. So I didn't expect to receive too much, but I wanted to play with the ATS function on this radio. It has some limitations, and I want to see if I can find out ways to work around those limitations. One of the main limitations is you can't control what band or what area of the frequency it scans. Now, speaking of shortwave, so you hit the scan button. Actually, yeah, you hit the scan button, ATS button. Now, on this radio, the shortwave button is right here, and it's not included in ATS, but this has an updated firmware, and it does include ATS function on shortwave. And I think probably the Eaton, which is a replacement of this thing, probably has that marked that the shortwave band is under the ATS function. So what it does, and I'll do it right now, is you push and hold that button, and it will scan through the various, I believe it's just international broadcast bands. So here we go. There, now it's scanning. It started 2.2 something, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, and it jumped up because it's only scanning international broadcast bands. I don't know any way of getting around that to scan all of the HF band. Now, what typically happens for me in my location is it captures a lot of noise, especially down on the lower part of the band, and it uses up the 100 memory locations it has. So it never gets through the scan. It gets up to about 7 megahertz, and then it's run out of memory locations, so it stops. So I never get the scan above that. One crude way of getting around that is I have my antenna over here. It's right over here. It's on a switch, so I can switch between this radio and my SDR play. One way to avoid picking up those noise and using up a memory location is to switch the antenna from the 750. And by doing that, it won't pick up anything down on those lower frequencies. So that's what I'm going to try next, because it's oh, I got a viewer. Well, thanks for stopping by. I'm doing this kind of as an experiment. I was experimenting with the new YouTube Hangout, and I couldn't get it to recognize my microphone. So I'm back to the old one, and now I'm doing what I intended to do, which was secondarily or primarily was to play with my Grundig 750 ATS function, because it does have some shortcomings. Excuse me. So it's scanning right now, and what it does, it scans, in this case, the shortwave band. It scans the international broadcast bands. And what will happen quite often is it'll detect some strong noise and say, oh, that's a station. I'm going to save it in memory. It uses up our memory location. So surprisingly this morning, I guess the noise level is low, is it's getting up. It's already up to 15 megahertz. Typically, and that's as far as it got, and it ran out of memory location. So it got to 15 megahertz, which is typically much higher than it normally gets. It only usually gets to about 7 megahertz because it uses up those channels, that 100 channels it has, for noise. And as you'll see when I go through what it found. So let me just turn it up. Okay, there's 2265 noise. Waste the memory channel. The ATS function is just looking at signal level. It doesn't know whether it's a real station or not. So we'll go to the next one. I bet you it's noise. Lots of noise. Noise, noise, noise. So you can see it's picked up a lot of noise and wasted my memory channels. As I was saying before, one crude way to avoid that is disconnect the antenna when it's down in those lower frequencies picking up that noise. So I'm going to attempt that right now. I've used up all my 100 memory channels, and it got up to 15 megahertz. So we're going to do the scan again, but I'm going to switch out the antenna while it scans that lower band below, say, 4 megahertz. So let me switch out the antenna right now. Not connected. I'm going to try starting the scan again. And what it will do, it will erase everything it stored in those 100 memory locations. It only deals with the first page of memory locations. It doesn't disturb any of your other pages that you've stored frequencies on. So here we go. Now it's scanning. So it shouldn't find anything down there until I turn the switch back on. So I'm going to go up to about 4 megahertz, and then I'm going to flip the switch. Now, I do not have a separate computer running so I can watch the live chat. There is a chat function in this old version, but I don't think it works. So if anybody wants to enter something in chat, I'll see if I see it. Okay, where are we at? Oh, I'm lost. Oh, geez. I'm already up to 4.9. That was running off the mouth and missed it. So now I got the antenna in, and we're going to see how high it gets up in the frequency scan. Again, this is not, I didn't intentionally schedule this Hangout. I'm just going to use the Hangout function of YouTube to capture my experimenting with my Grundig 750 and the ATS function. So it's scanning now. It's up to 37 memory locations already used, and I'm up at 7.2 megahertz. I got to 15 megahertz before when I didn't include the lower frequencies, and I did that now by turning the antenna off or disconnecting the antenna, the lower frequencies. See how far it gets up to 60 memory locations. I only have 100. Again, this was not intended to be a live show. I'm just using YouTube Hangout to record this session, which might be a long session, long, boring session. Okay, we're up to 11.5. We're at 63. So we might get through the entire international broadcast bands, or as it fills up memory. When it's scanning, it's muted, so you won't hear anything while it's scanning. Got up to 13.5, and we're still at 65. It's almost 7 a.m. here in Clearwater, Florida. 15. Okay, I got up to 15 megahertz, and it's only up to 67. So those probably 15 or 20 noise captures it did normally. It didn't capture those because I had the antenna connected up. I let it go a little past 4 megahertz. So all that trash down there didn't get captured. So it looks like it's going to make it through the entire bands. Now, I believe it's the Texan PL660 has 2 ATS functions. One, to scan and store within the international broadcast band you're in. The other one is to scan and store all the international broadcast band. So you can limit it, the band that it searches. This one doesn't have that second function. We're up to 18.9. We're up to 69 memory locations. We're going to make it. I'm pretty sure we're going to make it. So that's one crude way to eliminate bands you don't want it to scan. It's pretty crude, but basically you're disconnecting the antenna while it's scanning at the times it's in a band you don't want it to scan because it's full of noise. In my case, that's the lower part of the HF spectrum. Yeah, it's going to make it. Going up to 69. Before, it used them all up, and it got to 15 megahertz. Typically, it uses them all up when it has only gotten to 7 megahertz. Okay, it's finished. Now, let's see what we found. Turn the audio up. Okay, there's a station. Not very good. Barely there. Go on. That's noise. That's noise. 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 There's a station.
And they're hearing verboten to 24 hours a day, 7 days.
So I had about, I'm up to memory location 8, and I had 6 or 7 already just noise.
God gives credit where credit's due.
That's got to be out of Tennessee or someplace really close. Booming in, peg the meter.
Lions, they stand in barley field.
Okay. So I got 2 real stations. Noise. Noise. There's a station. Spanish. There's a station. Noise. Lots of noise. There's a station. There's a station.
Radio Mardin,
10 megahertz. That's it. Okay, so I found, or it found, maybe 10 real stations out of 100, and the rest were just noise. Now, this is something I haven't tried. Is you can so I'm on page 0 of the memory storage locations. That's where it stores things when it does an ATS. It only uses page 0. Um, and you can delete uh, memory locations that have been stored. So I could delete some of those that have just noise. Yeah, I wonder if I did that, if I deleted, say, 5 of them, would it go back and do an ATS and only use those 5 remaining? Or is it going to wipe out everything, which is what I suspect, and I'll end up with the all new stuff, be it noise or whatever. So I'm going to go back here. Okay, there's something there. So I'm going to skip to the next one. Okay, that's noise. I'm going to delete that by pushing the delete key. Comes up delete, and I push again, it's gone. So now if I tune, and it's in memory mode, so if I tune, it goes from 1 to 3 because I've deleted 2. Okay, 3 is noise also, so I'm going to delete that one. So now it's at 4. That's noise. I'm going to delete that one. 5 is noise. Okay, so I've got available, I've got 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's try an ATS and see if it uses those or if it wipes out everything. I suspect it's going to wipe out everything. So here we go. ATS. It looks like it started at 3. No, it's going right on up. Yeah. Oh, it skipped. Well, maybe I'm just not seeing it. It looks like it's skipping a few, but maybe I'm just moving so fast I'm not seeing the memory location, which is up here, which you can't see probably. Could try turning the radio, and that didn't help any. I don't have control of that I know of my camera, so I can't zoom in and out. Again, we're just experimenting this morning. I didn't schedule this Hangout. I'm just using the Hangout function to capture my experimenting with my Grundig 750 using the ATS function. I suspect it wiped out all my memory locations that I had before. Again, another little thing that would have been nice is if it had a option where you could say, okay, scan again, but don't use the memory locations that you stored. It's done already. I didn't see how far it got. Okay, so there's 1, 2. Yeah, see, it's wiped out everything and start over. So now I got all this noise in here.
Very bigger. However, North Korea called the U.S. request.
Yeah, my previous scan, I disconnected the antenna until I got to about 4 megahertz. So the first signal I thought was strong enough that it stored was like 5 megahertz. So I'm way down at 2 point something megahertz. So it wiped everything out. Okay, unfortunately, I don't think when conditions, because the idea for me for using ATS is when conditions are poor and I don't want to sit here and manually tune the radio. I want the radio to do the work for me. So I want it to go find stations out there um, in the international broadcast bands for me instead of me doing it manually, because when the conditions are bad, the stations are going to be few and far in between. Now, like I said earlier, my Texan PL660 has two ATS functions. One, like this one, where it scans all the international broadcast bands. The other one is it will only scan the international broadcast band you're in when you select the ATS function. The, what is it? Boy, my memory's so bad. There's another brand of radio, very popular, and I can't remember it, that has what's called an ETM function, which is similar to ATS. I don't know it's any better. The thing is these functions can't discern from noise, a strong signal that's just noise, and a strong signal that is actually a broadcast. I think I'm about over on this experiment. The other thing I wanted to get going, and I mentioned at the beginning of the show, is YouTube has a new version of Hangout, and it looks a little nicer for the broadcaster. And I think the chat option for this old version never seemed to work, and I don't think it's working now. I've got it open, but I don't think it's working. I believe the new version of Hangout, I think the chat option works. That's why I'd like to go to that new version. Now, what I've done in the past when I've actually scheduled a broadcast, a Hangout, is I've set up a separate computer to watch the Hangouts so that I can respond to any comments in the Hangouts, and I can't do that right now. And well, I didn't take the time to do that because this was not a scheduled broadcast, and I didn't think there would be many people show up to watch anyway. So I think that's it. Still trying. If you got anything you'd like me to try or discuss, please let me know and leave me a comment, or you can send me an email to TRRS73@gmail.com. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.